Why is communication so challenging? How to overcome the challenges to communication, project communication best practices. Why is communication so challenging? At first glance, this question may seem ridiculous. All of us have been communicating in some form from the time we were born, from body language and facial reactions to the things we speak and write. Nonetheless, effective communication may be quite difficult. According to the Holmes report, the penalty for bad communication for firms with 100,000 or more people is around $62.4 million per year. This equates to $26,041 in missed productivity. The expense might still be significant for smaller businesses. Miscommunication costs businesses with 100 workers an average of $420,000 each year. So, what exactly is it which renders communication so difficult? The top difficulties I've noticed in my work with companies are as follows. Forgetting the reason. Often communication fails because we are too focused on the doing rather than the objective or reason for what has to be done. This challenge may elicit opposition or even the impression that the option has not been well considered. Lack of satisfaction with the job. If you are dissatisfied with your work or have lost enthusiasm for it, you are significantly less inclined to communicate successfully on both the receiving and giving sides. To put it another way, your heart isn't in it. This is likely the hardest obstacle to overcome since it requires altering a mentality which often does not change until the individual departs. Making insufficient or excessive use of details. If we merely look at the high-level picture, critical milestones may be missed or the road ahead may be misconstrued, resulting in lost productivity. We also discovered that providing too much information might make others feel confused or unmotivated to continue ahead, which has an impact on production. Not listening to others. Active listening is a critical component of good communication. You can't connect with someone if you're not listening to them, since you create assumptions regarding their needs according to your own preconceptions rather than facts. Not considering tone and empathy. It is just as crucial how we communicate as what we say. When we deal with timetables, adjustments, and process flows, we sometimes lose sight of the human part of communication. When this happens, our recipients may lose interest. Transparency and trust are lacking. If there is insufficient openness and trust, it is incredibly difficult to express anything. For instance, if your team feels you are withholding information, they will be concerned, some may speculate, and as a consequence, any effort you generate to communicate with them would be futile as they will struggle to process it. Selecting the appropriate channel and format. Some communications should be conveyed in person, while others should be sent in writing. Additionally, structure and frequency might have an influence on comprehension. We may more successfully grab our audience through communicating in many forms and formats, such as sending a well-written email or addressing a graphic process flow. Everybody has a unique communication style. Some individuals are quite straightforward, while others choose to be more oblique. Some employ specific facts, while others depend on broad strokes, and so on. Sometimes one individual is so set in their communication style that they are unable to communicate with those that use a different style, falling victim to time restrictions. Communication often fails because the messenger does not take the time to carefully consider their topic and give all important facts. Likewise, in a multitasking environment, the individual receiving the message might only put half their focus on the message, which might have unexpected repercussions. Workplace disagreements. Conflict may arise for a number of reasons, and whenever it happens, it impedes efficient communication. What is crucial is that you strive to settle the issue, not the basis of the conflict. When disagreement is not resolved, it escalates and individuals begin to pick sides, making constructive communication even more difficult. Language and cultural differences. Understanding cultural nuances in communication is critical, but do not only think globally. Regional distinctions may also exist. For instance, a northerner may dislike the phrase y'all or may not comprehend the more complete form, all y'all. While these instances may seem insignificant, the crux of the matter is that differences in culture may exist inside the borders of the United States, and failing to understand cultural differences risks insulting the other person, leading to the breakdown of communication. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. On my website, projectmanagerinc.com, you can get the free templates for your project management needs, as well as training based on my 544-page book Project Management for Managers. Program and project portfolio management in banking. Please see the details below in the description. How to overcome the challenges to communication to enhance productivity. Bridging the gap between intent and impact may have a beneficial influence on many communication challenges. On a high level, this gap arises when our message effect differs from its intention. Consider this thought with respect to the difficulties I stated above. When we consider point number 1, we all want our judgments to seem highly thought out, and if we do not even present explanations in our communications, then they may not. Similarly, when it comes to point number 2, nobody wants to compile a step-by-step email just to discover that the assignment demotivated the receiver, since the abundance of details made them believe they couldn't handle the opportunity imaginatively. When we bridge the intent-impact divide, we improve communication and, as a result, productivity. And I know that this is easier stated than done. It's a topic we often discuss with businesses as they strive to produce strong leaders and managers while also maximizing team performance. Try these 4 ideas to help you communicate more successfully and bridge communication gaps. Reserve some time to plan your delivery. When writing a message, such as an email, schedule time in your day to think about what you wish to convey. Larger improvements may need more time and effort. Nonetheless, even brief letters or notes of gratitude ought to be thought out. When communicating, focus on staying in the moment in order to provide your whole attention. Slowing down and making time to organize your strategy is one of the finest ways to do this. Know the audience. Is your communication intended for a single person, a group, a division, or the whole company? Consider what your target audience could need. You may be quite detailed and tailor your key messages and delivery to their tastes. If you're speaking to a big audience, be sure to incorporate parts that appeal to each individual's preferences. Select appropriate media and formats. Consider what you want to say, how large of a request it is, the number of questions you expect to receive, and if there are many methods you may communicate the message. Then consider your choices, which might include phone calls, emails, webinars, meetings, workplace intranets, one-on-ones, newsletters, or professional presentations. Consider the message formatting as well. Does it address each person's thinking and behavioral attribute? A step-by-step list, for instance, may appeal to people with a structural orientation, but conceptual thinkers will be more energized if you employ images or colors to draw attention to essential points. Seek another opinion. It is lovely to have a diverse perspective. It aids in the identification of blind spots and identifies information gaps that we would not naturally notice, which can significantly narrow the intent-impact divide. Before sending a message, think about asking a coworker to evaluate it so you can obtain their feedback on what's absent or how it comes across. Even better is asking a person that acts and thinks differently than you for assistance. Project communication best practices. Schedule regular catch-ups. Having numerous meetings might be detrimental. However, not enough will cause your project to fail. You must strike the proper balance. The appropriate balance is to avoid cancelling frequent catch-ups. That's because you won't be aware of what's going on with your project if you don't. It may lead your staff to believe that you are not effectively supervising their job. Despite your already hectic schedule, frequent individual catch-ups will provide your staff with a crucial, private channel of contact with you. This is the time for them to inform you of everything regarding their deliverables in a secure setting. It also gives them plenty of incentive to meet your deadlines. These meetings do not have to be held in person. Virtual meetings are also feasible. It is only critical that they happen. You may use Skype, or you could set up a conference call. If you lack time, suggest that each individual provide you with a frequent report on their progress. This will allow you to more effectively detect issues as they arise and prioritize your meetings. It's not important how you arrange these meetings. What matters is that they happen on a regular basis. Furthermore, avoid prioritizing visiting your favorite team members. You must manage your time well, ensuring that everyone has equal time with you face-to-face. Create regular checkpoints. Frequent and scheduled review points, as well as regular catch-ups, enable you to convey project-impacting changes to your stakeholders and team. These may take the shape of milestone meetings, project boards, or any other structure that suits your job. There ought to be a fixed agenda for these sessions. Milestone reviews, budgeting performance, and an assessment of continuing risks should all be on the table. Assign an individual responsible for meeting organization and documentation. This guarantees their productivity, that the work that has to be done is accomplished, and that earlier actions are carried out. Meeting notes are amazing in that they can be shared digitally with the whole team. They will also assist you in determining if measures have advanced. If work has to be reviewed prior to the scheduled meeting, make sure everyone can access it ahead of time. Productive presentations and conversations regarding your work's progress will maintain review points current and keep participants interested. Finally, be sure to invite a diverse group of individuals to your evaluations. Urge more senior project team members to allow more junior workers to speak at these sessions. It will aid in their professional growth while also fostering a more transparent, and open workplace. Make use of online collaboration services. Online communication tools are quite useful. Microsoft 365 Suite, Google Docs, Asana, Monday, and other digital collaboration software enable your team to manage projects remotely and instantly exchange data. These technologies may significantly improve the supervision and openness of your project. However, if you use online collaboration tools wrong, they will not function. You will be wasting the time or money you have put into them if no one uses them. Create a culture that encourages the maximum usage of online collaboration tools. You may do this by defining explicit working procedures, allocating individual duty to a team member to ensure that online records are kept up to date, and providing explicit instructions that work must be conducted on specified platforms. As a project manager, it is critical that you utilize these tools as well. If you want the rest in your workplace to alter their working habits, you must modify your own. Otherwise, they would detest it and be much less inclined to follow your directions. Maintain stakeholder involvement. To conduct a successful project, you must maintain continuous communication with the stakeholders. Although this will occur naturally at your frequent project meetings and reviews, it's worth making an additional effort and introducing as many communication channels as feasible. This might involve frequent meetings with other PMs, a catch-up with your supervisor once a month, and even project update reports every week or month. It is always preferable to interact with your stakeholders in advance rather than wait to be asked to offer a project update. When your project has achieved a key milestone and your organization holds a frequent executive committee or board meeting, ask the meeting organizer proactively if you can deliver an update on your progress. It will boost your project's confidence and provide you with the ability to justify delays without shocking anybody. It's also a simple approach to convey project changes without worrying your stakeholders. Do not ignore documentation of your project. Communication is more than simply how individuals talk to one another. It also comprises every project documentation, your project strategy, roadmap, and how allocated tasks, job descriptions, and project briefings are given to your team are all examples of communication. Your project documentation should be clear and concise. Otherwise, it will impede your project team's ability to execute duties and figure out precisely what they're doing. Take responsibility for reviewing your project documentation to determine its quality. If there is anything in the document that you cannot understand, ask for an explanation. When you are satisfied, ensure that the relevant members of the team update their documentation. It is beneficial to utilize online collaboration solutions to keep your project documents in a centrally situated and controlled location. This might be online, on a shared hard drive, stored on your own servers, or as a readily accessible printout in the workplace. Project documentation that is clear and easily available will save time for your team. You will save time if you keep everything in one location and the project team can access the information fast and efficiently. This is because they will no longer be asking you the same questions over and over again, and they will be able to figure out independently what they must do in order to finish their task. Also, well-maintained project documentation is an excellent strategy to avoid problems such as scope creep. Be accessible. One of the biggest miracles of our day is remote working. Flexible work schedules are a fatalistic strategy to retain personnel while also assisting your team in achieving a better work-life balance. While working remotely is beneficial, keep in mind that accessibility and visibility are critical components of effective communication. This implies that when workers work remotely, they must be accessible. The same is true for you. This does not imply that you must be present in the workplace at all times. When you are away, the team members must know when they may reach you, what your ideal means of communication is, and who they should contact instead if you are unavailable. Make the most of technology. Call someone on Skype or even utilize WhatsApp to confirm that your details are accurate. You should be ready to help your team when they are having problems, but you should also be present when they are not. An active presence increases faith in your managerial abilities. Additionally, it will enable your staff to communicate problems to you earlier when necessary. Allow team bonding to grow. For your initiatives to flourish, everyone must communicate effectively with one another. Naturally, when everyone on the project team gets along, communication becomes considerably simpler. That is why it is critical to cultivate positive working relationships with everyone on the team and to motivate them to get to know one another. Facilitating team bonding is one of the simplest methods to boost communication in your company. This helps your employees to get to know one another outside of the workplace and connect to each other in a friendly setting. When individuals enjoy the company of others, it is simpler for them to consider their job as a whole instead of discrete duties. Teams with positive working connections are more inclined to discuss issues, triumphs, and new ideas. It all comes down to establishing a safe workplace. A real team atmosphere will enable everyone to work more successfully together, and they will actually wish to communicate with their colleagues at work. Create an inclusive environment. In addition to increasing team involvement, you must ensure that everyone sees that their perspective is respected. Unless you do that, they'll be less inclined to notify you when things aren't going smoothly with their work and will be more likely to keep information to themselves. Set a good example by listening to everyone's thoughts. If you dismiss a recommendation put forth by a junior employee, it could influence the attitude of other members of the team toward them. It's fantastic when you actively seek the input of younger employees and make it apparent that you are always welcoming of fresh ideas. Having the appropriate representation on your team also contributes to a more inclusive corporate environment. This might imply ensuring that your management roles have a diverse representation, providing your employees with the confidence to talk. Establish a transparent and open working atmosphere. Be truthful with your team members. Inform them when anything goes wrong. Perhaps your firm is undergoing a difficult period, is being taken over, or your project simply hasn't reached the milestone you were hoping for. Set a good example by communicating difficulties to your team. It will contribute to a more pleasant working atmosphere. It also demonstrates that it is totally normal to deliver bad news, preventing bitterness from growing needlessly. By fostering a transparent and open working atmosphere, you may improve your connection with the team members and boost their trust in you as their manager. We all have difficulties communicating what is going on. Employees are more inclined to respect you and leave you updated on the daily operations of your project if you are transparent and honest. Celebrate successes together. Celebrate when you reach a project milestone. Just make certain you do it as a group. Although one outstanding employee may have met a project milestone, you operate in a team where everyone's participation is valued. Even if a few of the team members' efforts were little, do not exclude them from the festivities. Each person has something to give, and celebrating as a team helps to drive everyone. Always make time to celebrate accomplishments since it demonstrates that you recognize what went right throughout the project. Celebrating together also prevents specific team members from being unnecessarily isolated. Click on the video card on the right to understand what are expectations and project stakeholders. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. On my website, projectmanagerig.com, you can get the free templates for your project management needs as well as training based on my 544-page book Project Management for Managers. Program and project portfolio management in banking translated into 9 languages and counting. Please see the details below in the description and where to buy my book and what is the best program and project management software, PPM.